Now, I want to elaborate a little bit on the break point here. In our singles video for the beginning shooters and maybe even the intermediate shooters, I know a lot of times they couldn't get on that first target or their single target by the 2/3 marker. And I said in the singles video that it was acceptable to bring those targets closer to the center stake. However, over time with more and more experience, you really need to pull those break points closer or right at that 2/3 marker, since we have a second target to worry about in doubles. If you're not breaking the first target by this point, that is going to cause serious problems in your doubles game. So I want to stress, before you start working on your doubles techniques, that you really need to have your foundation in your singles game built very solidly. Now, I just briefly mentioned break points. Let's go take a look at the field and let me illustrate to you why breaking that first target by the 2/3 marker is so important when shooting successful doubles. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our markers on the field. Just like the first video, we have a marker set up where we should have our gun as far as our hold point goes right here at the 1/3 marker, which lands at 7 yards from the high house window on its way to the center stake. We march off another 7 yards, and this is where we arrive at our break point at 2/3. You will notice that on the other side of the field, we have the same exact layout. We have a marker at 1/3, which is your marker closer to the low house window, and then we have a mark at 2/3. The 2/3 markers on each side of the field we will be discussing in very great detail today, as the importance of our break point is what sets up a very good double. Ball. As we see there, the break point checks out. Most shooters here on Station 6, because of anxiety, as we discussed earlier, will get too tight to where they can't swing the gun, and that may cause them to break their low house here a little too late. The other thing, as we discussed earlier, your whole point of your eyes could be on the wrong spot. However, if you feel like you have the proper setup here and something's still a little off, adjust these things in very, very small increments. And I'm talking maybe 1 foot out, 1 foot in, eyes maybe a foot or two higher, a foot or two lower, foot or two out, foot or two in. And when you change anything, always just change one thing at a time. Never throw extra things in the mix, because then you don't know what really fixed it. Okay, so now on Station 6, we saw that I broke the target in the correct spot. Now let's go ahead and jump into the following pair exercise here, where this will help me with my eye shift. Remember, here on this side of the field, shooting the low house first, we're going to be shifting our eyes to the left of the gun, not the right-hand side of the gun like the other side. Ball. And as you can see on the eye cam shot, made an aggressive move on our first shot. We broke it out at the proper point on the 2/3 marker on our side of the field. The gun immediately comes down and out of the way. We visually acquire the second target, start our turn back, sustain the same exact lead as we do in our single shot, pull the trigger in our break zone, which is around the 2/3 marker or slightly past, and follow through. Bob, could you elaborate on what it takes for an athlete to be in this zone?
Absolutely, Paul. What it is when you're in that zone is your posture so straight, and your body is tall, and to them you look like you're 10 feet tall. It can be very intimidating for other shooters to have to shoot beside you when you're in that kind of posture, but that's representative of your zone. Now, the difficulty is that, you know, as much as people can see it in you, they have to be able to replicate that or to do it themselves. And that's the more interesting part.
So how can they do that?
Well, one of the things that they can do is, you know, understand that they get into that posture too on occasion. And it might be when they're thinking about their best competition, or they're thinking about you know, some other part of their lives where they're in that zone. It doesn't necessarily have to be in shooting. It could be in business, it could be in personal life. But they want to get into that kind of feeling. And one of the best ways that I've discovered that individuals can do it on their own when they're not working with me is to go into the bathroom and take a look in the mirror. And when they're looking in the mirror, think about their best experience, whether it's shooting or otherwise, and they're going to notice an amazing transformation. And they're going to go, wow, hey, you know, I look a bit like Paul when I'm in this kind of state. And when they do that, they're going to actually be able to feel inside a sensation. And that sensation is their zone signal. And now it may take a number of exercises like this. They may have to remember a few fantastic experiences, but the more you do, the more you're going to start feeling that. You're going to start noticing your transformation in the mirror. At the same time, you start feeling something inside your chest, maybe a little bit warmer, maybe you feel your shoulders relax, maybe your hands start to tingle a little bit. It varies from sport to sport. Hockey players I work with, they feel tingling in their legs. Golfers